What's going on, spiritualites? Welcome back for another video. This one's going to be a little bit of a different one. As promised last week, I'll be dropping one video per week over this holiday period. This is week 2 now. So in this one, I want to focus a little bit more on the back testing. However, I am still trading, so I'll give you a quick weekly recap, not how we usually do it, but just a quick overview. And then we'll jump into some of the back testing that I've been doing in the background and a little bit to come on that front as well. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right on into it. So this week started with Monday the 22nd. Okay, so this was my first trade of the week. It was about 11 o'clock. And I thought price had enough power to keep going up. As you can see, price had been going up from way down here. So I said, okay. And I noticed the trend going up, so I decided, hey, I'll take this next trade. It was a pretty sharp downtrend that was able to break easily. So getting up this high, I should have maybe second guessed it, but I thought, okay, we've got the juice, we're going up. Entered about here, spent most of the time in my danger zone down here, got I think 1 cent away from my stop loss, and that was enough for me. So I was able to get out at break even on this wick here. So while it was a loss, it was not a full loss, not a win, but it was basically a free trade. I took another trade later Monday. This was a potential trade. I saw that there was a nice little support level here, bounce here. So thinking that price could come down, which it eventually did, but it did not come in and come up to this price here and tag me in. So once I saw it reach this level here, I got an alert on my phone, and then I just went ahead and canceled the trade. And good thing I did, because as you can see, it marched right up against me. But at this point, I was convinced of the downtrend, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to get it at another point. So at this point, I'm following this trend here, touch here, close touch here, and then we break this here. So once we broke this trend here, I got in. I didn't waste too much time. It was more of an aggressive trade. I got in here, but I did feel confident. Price came up to, again, another support level that kind of turned resistance level. I wasn't able to break it, not exactly hitting those points, but once again, I was confident that price would get down to, again, this level here. So that was my target. I was able to get in here, and a short while longer, I was out of the trade at full profit. So on Monday, I was able to get out at break even. Here, I got left behind. Here, I was able to win leading into Tuesday. Oh, and I actually went to sleep on this trade. Yep, I got tired. So on this one here, fell asleep. Was able to move it to break even once I saw this break down here below this level. I felt good about this being my high now. So once I moved it to break even, went to bed, woke up in the morning to a full profit trade. Okay, so by Tuesday, I'm really already in holiday mode. So I'm not thinking there's going to be too much volatility in the market. So I didn't get to the charts right on time like I should have, and consequently I did miss an easy trade. Could have followed this trend up and up and up. Once it broke this trend down here, we were able to find a short somewhere to take it to, which could have been full profit pretty quickly, actually. So didn't feel good about that, but it is what it is. Happens. There's always going to be another trade like this one here. Again, continuing from the downtrend from yesterday of the trade I had just won from Monday night into Tuesday morning, I was confident in the downtrend. So I took this trend lined up. Once it broke, this was not enough for me. See if I can zoom in on that for you. This wick here was not enough. Right, it broke through, and at one point it looked pretty powerful because I was in front of the computer at this time. But taking all that back, I was not convinced. So once it did come down here and break below, although it wasn't a strong break, I knew that even getting back to this point down here meant that it still had some juice in it to go down. So I took an aggressive entry here and thought, okay, it's probably going to break this low, so I'll front run the low and we'll get a full take profit. So as you can see, price went all the way down to here, over 80% of the way down to my take profit point, but marched its way back up, followed this trend up, at the time, got the break below, and I thought, okay, no need to worry about it. But as you can see here, right, breaking this low would have made me feel a little bit more comfortable, and it did not. Right, it ended up creating a new support zone here, and it offered me many times to get out. So the fact that I hit full loss on this is completely on me. Getting 80% of the way, that should have been my cue. Okay, you can put your stop loss above even this high, or even at break even, maybe even this high for a small loss. Right, when it came up here and I saw that and I saw it break down, again, could have put it at the top of price here. So I mean, many opportunities to get out at break even on this trade, so the fact that I got full loss is completely on me. Okay, next trade. All right, Christmas Eve, definitely spending time with the family, not thinking, again, that volatility is going to be in the market, but once again, it is. I could have taken this trade here. I was up, but again, I was spending time with family. This would have been a nice little trade here where I'm following up, following up, following up, get a strong breakdown below these lows. I could have entered somewhere there and gotten that full take profit right there. So missed out on that trade. Didn't really like that. And so I was like, okay, well, let's see what else I can get into maybe. And price is kind of doing this whole uptrend. I'm still thinking it's a downtrend because although I did get stop out here, it only wicked this high and then ended up coming all the way back down to here. So I do believe that I have the opportunity for a short. So I'm following this trend up and up and up and up and up and up. Here it breaks down, and so I'm like, oh, I could get in on maybe a retrace somewhere up here and cover down, but I wasn't super convinced. I thought maybe price would come up and try to wick this high since it didn't take this one here. It didn't take that high. So I thought maybe it could try it again. So I was a little bit weary, but then as the day continued on, I found another uptrend, and then once that broke again, showed me, okay, this uptrend is getting weaker and weaker. So I'll take a short, right? This time I didn't take the aggressive short as soon as it dipped because this is the level I was looking to play. And then I got this close down here, which let me know it was a good idea. But this type of long, had I made the short, from this high, that's a long stop loss, and I didn't want to put my take profit too far beyond that low. So I took a bit more of a conservative entry. Price barely wicked one time to get me in on this trade. And once it got down to about this level, I learned my lesson and I moved my stop loss to break even, right? A little bit later, I was able to get out of the trade at full profit. So those were my 4 trades that I took for this week. Note that they were all on Solana, no Bitcoin trades. So at this point, I was convinced that there was going to be volatility in the market for the rest of the week, and I was right. However, price dumped off on Friday. It's Thursday I took off. I didn't even look at it for Christmas, but price dumped off too fiercely for me to even get in, and I got left behind, which was okay with me. 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 a full loss and 1 a break-even loss. Okay, so with that week behind us, let's take a look at the summary sheet here. You'll see this week here I took my 4 trades, all on Solana, starting off the week with a break even and a win on Monday, a loss on Tuesday, and a win on Wednesday. Look how that affects my summary. My win rate is now 21%, 1 out of 5, so it's steady rising, steady rising. And you'll see my average R multiple is almost not negative anymore. So basically, on average, I'm going to put in a break-even trade is basically what this is saying right now. So that's steady climbing up. I remember that was pretty far negative as well. The total in the account is $99.99.5. So really that rounds up to about $100. So after 4 weeks of trading, I really have nothing to show for it. When we take a look at the weekly breakdown, I started with a negative 4% loss, then went on to almost a 0.5% loss. Last week, clawed back, got a 0.5%. And then this week, traded smart, got 4%. So we're sitting almost break even. 4 weeks of trading, a total of 27 trades. And like I said, I guess I have nothing to show for it. But I do think I've learned a lot, and it feels good to not have lost any money. My max drawdown was a little under 5%. I think that's okay. I think a lot of those challenges require you to have a max drawdown of less than 5%. So that's good. I was able to keep that and looking forward to pressing on. But that all begins with the back testing. So I want to just show you a week of back testing that I've done. It's already done. I've already played it out. And I just want you to see a little bit of how the strategy works, a little bit more of what I'm adding, a little bit more of what I've taken away, and then show you kind of the P&L over this 7-day span. So let's jump into that. So I did the random bar until I got a somewhat recent time in history, which it went back to Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. So a little bit over a year ago, so I guess that was recent enough for me. I usually like to start on a Monday, but I thought, you know what, why not? Why not go Wednesday to Wednesday? Okay, so I'm looking at the bigger picture here, and I see price has gotten all the way up here. Looks like a little bit of distribution to go down, but it has come up so far. So thinking, okay, this is could be a top off, like finishing off move, or it could be just another point for it to retrace and then continue bouncing up. So I thought, okay, I'll go with the thought of going up. All right, so I'm looking for any chance of this trend to break. All right, so I'm seeing this larger trend here, but then it takes a deeper trend here. So this breaks up. This is a little bit more of an aggressive move than I should have taken. It didn't come up and break anything specific on this trend down, but it did not break this low very convincingly, which is why I tried to get in. As you can see, it did not work out. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I am continuing on with this trend downward. Right? I don't believe I had this marked out just yet, but I did think, okay, I can get to these lows here. So try to take it short. I missed the initial move, but it didn't look as if it was done going down to me. So when price came up here, I stayed in the trade, or I theoretically would have stayed in the trade, and came down in my direction. Probably could have moved it to break even at this point, but I did not, and then ended up taking that loss. So at this point, we've got to bounce from here. Right, price has been in an uptrend, so now let's look for some longs, and oh boy, did I get some longs. So here, right, is where the major downtrend has just now broken. And so if we're counting structure, it broke over this high, causing a change of direction. Now we're going up. So now I'm looking for places where I can get in an uptrend. And so I wanted to see the next downtrend happen. Took this high, went down. Once it broke above there, all right, strongly here, I made sure to get in at some point down here and take it as far up as it would go. I thought about going ahead and taking this high, but my strategy is 2.5, so I went for it. When I got it pretty convincingly, I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I want to experiment with, taking it up to a strong high that needs to be broken. All right, so when I saw this downtrend come in here, I saw this price break up significantly. Had I moved this up here to take that high, I didn't have my 2.5. So I said, okay, rather than make it exactly 2.5 here, right, this is just back testing, so I'm kind of experimenting with some things. Right, I am going to take it down to a key level. Right, and so I took it down to that breakout point of the trend. And lo and behold, price did retrace all the way back to it and then go blasting up to hit the high that I wanted it to hit. So that trade would have gotten me 4.5% almost. And then the final long here, again, downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. Right, price breaks up. You know, you've got an aggressive uptrend, so I didn't really want to take too long with finding that entry. So I took it at this level here, where I considered the breakout to be, and got my 2.5. So following these trends and waiting for trend breaks has really been working for me, and it seems you're able to go on nice little runs, or in some cases, just keep the trade in. Right, so I think about sometimes when I take these 3 separate trades, 1, 2, 3, could I have just stayed in this one to get somewhere around 14%? Those are the thoughts that I go through my head. So 2.5, 4.5, and another 2.5. That's 5, 9.5, almost 10% compared to a possible 14%. I don't know. Finding a way to get all that and stay confident in the trade for that long, you know, it's a work of art that I'm still working on. So again, everything's going up. I'm like, all right, let me get in this uptrend again, right? Fourth time's a charm. I catch it going down and then I wait for this here, but it doesn't break through this level that I feel like, okay, it should kind of fire through. But I took the trade anyway, as you can see, and went down against me. So I think, okay, well, maybe I just caught the retrace a little bit too early, still thinking I should go up, right? So another downtrend that I'm following. I see the breakout here, doesn't break over this level, comes and makes a new low, but it wicks the low and comes and closes above here. So I'm like, okay, good. That's my signal that it's going to go up, right? Start here, goes up, goes up, goes up, goes up. As I'm following this trend, I do this later, but as I saw this dump off right here, this is when I should have moved it to break even. However, it took a full loss here. So at this point, I'm like, all right, this is a downtrend. Then I have to be convinced of that. However, this wick did not make me feel comfortable about price going up, but the emotional toll of having lost two in a row made me say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go for it anyway. So this trade was probably my least favorite one because when I look back on it and I try to learn from these things, this was not a good trade to take. This should have been a stay away from the trade because you get this big wick here, so you can easily go back and touch these ties here and in this zone. And so as you can see, price did that shortly after. So this was, in my opinion, just a very lucky backtest trade. But it did go full profit, and sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes everything you set up is great and it doesn't work, and sometimes things you look back and say, why did I make that trade, actually works. So we're going into Friday here. Price has come back up and broken through this zone here, right, which was a big resistance zone in the past. So breaking up through here after yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm convinced of the long. Not only did this small downtrend break right before it, but again, it is a strong resistance zone that got broken over. So I said, okay, let me take this long. While I'm in the trade, this time I am following the trend. It breaks out again, gives me confidence to stay in, and I get a full take profit. Here, same thing. Downtrend here, I follow it. The sharp ones I've learned to kind of be weary of. I don't know if I've learned that lesson at this point, but another sharp one here, breaks out. This time breaks over some key levels up here, hangs out a little bit before it goes down, so it gave me a little bit more confidence. Took that up to take profit as well. So another 2.5. Here, price has gone up, gone up, gone up, gone up, and dumped off down here. So I'm thinking, okay, you weren't able to break this major high very strongly, right? You tried once, failed. Tried again, you failed. So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to be in a downtrend now. So I'm starting to get these hits, this hit here. I notice price was going up and dumped off here. So if I can get into somewhere around where it broke this low, I'll be good, which did happen. And I got a downward wick that looks to be lucky now, but I was more convinced that we would see the bottom of this range get hit because we had tried the top of it twice without getting there. So I was convinced that it was going down this far, so I didn't think having this short of a slight profit would be anything. I thought maybe I'd be able to get into another one. However, on that wick, although I did get hit for my take profit, it goes back up, right, which caused me to draw this downtrend here. It did break over. Looking back on the overall trend, we are going up. So taking a long here could be going with the overall trend up. And taking the aggressive entry, again, somewhere around here, would have not been able to take a clean take profit. I would have been able to, but usually you're not going to be able to get that far up, and I don't like to aim for that high. I like to aim for within the parameters of price action for that day. I came down here to try to get some of that imbalance that was maybe left over. Luckily, price did shoot down in here, hang out for a little bit, and then go soaring back out. So another take profit. So at this point, I'm feeling really comfortable with the strategy, especially on Solana. And so comfortable that I'm saying, okay, well, let's take a trade at the afternoon of a Friday, which usually not much volatility, so I don't do this. But trying this high, it breaks back down. I'm thinking, okay, maybe a bounce. But as price is going up, it's not able to break over this high, right? So this is a sharp downward trend being broken, but this high wasn't able to be closed above. It only was a wick. So I was convinced of the downtrend at that point, right? Up, 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 and then broke that. So I said, okay, if it can close this imbalance up here, I'll take the short, which it indeed did. But again, for a Friday leading into the night, I said, okay, I don't really want to be wishing and washing around it in the weekend, so I will go ahead and take my break even. So once price got back over to here is when I got closed out. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, it is the weekend, so I would usually skip, but let me just kind of keep in the flow and see what would happen if I did trade on the weekend, because I stopped trading on the weekend or didn't want to because of volatility, but also because price seemed to be kind of erratic. But those were my past strategies. So the strategy that I'm using now, I wanted to see, hey, maybe it might work on the weekend. So early Saturday, wee hours of the night, noticed that we were an uptrend, 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 and then we broke down, and then we broke further down. So on the rebound of this, I chose my stop loss here instead of up here, just due to price action kind of filling up those gaps. So I didn't think that it had any reason to come back up here unless price was just going to start going up. And in that case, this price or this price wouldn't matter. So I chose the shorter stop loss to try to take profit, and ended up working out. So it looks like this trade initially on the Friday, had I left it in and not moved my stop loss to break even, it comes up to here, not quite my stop loss, but then ends up coming down and hitting me into take profit as well. So high confidence using this strategy as I'm back testing in these. So I take a trade, see this trend break, goes down. I'm like, okay, once it comes back up, price does get pretty far down and creates new structure. So should have let me know, hey, be cautious, maybe not take this trade, maybe sit it out and wait. But I didn't, feeling overconfident. So I lost there. Another one here. Price comes back up, fills some of this imbalance that was left in here. We've got this trend to break. So I'm thinking, all right, I can get into a short at some point in here and look for an easier one with a smaller stop loss after price breaks down here. Comes back up, goes down, comes up here, goes down again. At this point here, after this second hump, I should be getting into break-even status as price is moving downward, right? I don't miss out on the opportunity, get another opportunity, still deny it, and then get my full loss, which I was, I guess, begging for because I didn't take any of the opportunities to get into break-even. So still not convinced of the uptrend. I've got a long uptrend lined up here, but I'm noticing there's these key levels that price would just have to break to convince me, right? It's just been waddling up here for too long at this point. So looking for another short. Price breaks this trend here, right? I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't know if price is going to come all the way up here, so maybe wait for a second iteration of this trend, right? Here we go. Price is moving up, breaks down here. So I'm like, okay, I'm convinced. So I'll take a short from somewhere within this inbound zone, make sure that my stop loss is covered over there, and I can take it down to a little bit past this low. If we're in a true downtrend, then maybe this low would be the initial target, but if I can just get my 2.5 from a little bit past this low, I'll be good. And sure enough, price tries to hold this support line here, but eventually cannot, and once it breaks through here, my stop goes to break even, but shortly after I hit take profit anyway, so no big deal there. And price again tries a retrace, so I'm looking at price retracing, broke down here, looking to take a short from the start of this imbalance because I'm thinking that price is going to go down very sharply. So I did take a little bit big stop loss here, as you can see. So my larger stop loss, I had to choose a level that I thought maybe price would get back down to. It did not, so I take a full loss there. And so again, these are weekend trades, so I'm just kind of experimenting here. That was the last one I took on Saturday. Moving on to the Sunday trades, thinking price would break down, it didn't. Thinking price would break down, it didn't. Thinking price would break down, it did not. But this time, I didn't take a full loss at least. I was at least smart enough to put it at break even. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, I'm convinced of this uptrend. So I'm looking for this downtrend to be broken. It gets broken with some strength. So if it can get back down to just right here where it broke out of, I'll take that and ride it up to right the highs that it's reached this last time. So get in, get out, take profit, 2.5. At this point, I'm riding the high then, all right? I am in the long, so this is what I'm looking for. This one was a bit more of a risk, as you can see. All right, I got this here. The price does break up high. As it wicks here, I should have been like, maybe I should wait. But because it just kept rising and rising on me, I didn't want to get left out again. Price does go up. And at this point, I need to be talking about break even. Breaking up here, getting up here, break even. Coming back up down here, coming back up here, break even. Last chance. Nope, still took a loss. All right, so that Sunday could have been just a break even. Thinking it's going to continue this downtrend. Saw a little bit of an uptrend, broke through. Just wicking, little rangy here. This is what I mean about the weekends. Offers a little bit more range, doesn't quite follow the patterns normally. Moving into Monday, so I'm going to trade up into Wednesday of this week. I'm saying uptrend, uptrend, uptrend. Breaks down here. All right, looking for something up here, but I see that price is kind of waddling and then breaks down here. So I'm thinking, I don't really think that I'll have a retrace that gets all the way back up to here. So I'll take something within this range here, which ends up working in my favor as I don't have to put my stop loss too far below the lows. All right. At this point, I'm seeing this downtrend keep going, going, going. And then it breaks. So I'm thinking, okay, if I can get up, I don't want to go past the 618 level or the 702 level on this uptrend. So price breaks up, comes back down, just misses me to get me up to take profit. So again, I'm thinking I'm in a downtrend, so I don't want to take this trade all the way up because I'm thinking at some point it's going to turn over on me and give me a chance to take a short, which I thought I was going to get from this level. I thought I was going to get from this level here. But price kept going up and up and up for the retrace. So I'm thinking, okay, if you're getting this far in the retrace, the high is only up here. I think you'll at least come and wick the high, right? No, not at all. So I'm thinking, okay, here's the downtrend that I'm looking for. Breaks that downtrend. All right, cool, we're going uptrend. But notice it does get up here and wick this. So as it's coming down, it's possible that this low can still be taken out. So I should not have taken this trade. Looking back on this one, another one that I learned from. Taking out this high on this initial burst out was not necessarily a good thing. Had it stopped right here and made a little bounce here, then I could have been more confident in it coming up to these highs. But this was a pretty deep retrace, so I did think I was going to be in the right doing that. So at this point, I finally get the breakthrough that I've been looking for on this long-term uptrend. So I take a short from the bottom of this wick, thinking I can get just a little bit below here. Price does end up waddling in here, giving me the opportunity to get out at break even. So I'm noticing all these things happening. After this uptrend comes up and breaks down, I'm like, okay, this long one can be break even. But I also noticed a trade within a trade. So I would have to use a different account if I was going to do this realistically, but I did just to see what would happen. Price came up, wicked me in, came down here. I had broken this uptrend. So as soon as price came down here and started waddling, I moved this inner trade into break even because I didn't believe that price would be able to come all the way down without coming up and playing up here for a little bit. This trade was already in break even, so as price continued upward, I was out of that trade as well. Luckily so, had I used the original stop loss, that would have been a good idea. As you can see, after price does hit up these levels and would have stopped me out for a full loss, it does come down and break the lows that I thought were possible for it to break down here. So at this point, again, we're getting a downtrend, downtrend, downtrend. We break up. I'm like, okay, let's see if we can get a long coming from here and back up to this little resistance level that keeps getting tapped. And so I'm in this trade here. Realistically, I'm looking at it now. I should have only aimed for the 618. So I'm not sure what I was thinking or why I decided that this was something that could be touched again. Maybe there's something on the larger time frame, or maybe all this volume coming in made me think it was a reversal point. Not sure. Either way, price waddles up here, takes quite a while, but does end up getting me out to take profit on this Tuesday morning. And so now I'm in here and I take this trend down. I'm thinking, okay, we're in an uptrend. It's been going up. So here we are getting my opportunity to go up, come up in here. pumps up, then dumps down real quick, and then doesn't give me another opportunity to get out for a break-even trade. So at this point, my longer trend up is now broken. And so because it's broken, this here convinced me, okay, I need to take a short, which I take a short and immediately am stopped out because that was not the break that it was looking for, I guess. So here I'm getting late into Tuesday thinking, all right, well, here's my end of my week. And then price hits up here and breaks right back into the zone. Okay, I'm not sure what to take of it. I'll wait to see if this trend is going to make an uptrend for us to get through this level or if it's going to break down. Sure enough, it broke down and got lower than this level here. So I'm thinking of somewhere I can get in. And all this has been kind of eaten up. There's no imbalance or any gaps here that I would think that it would come hit. There was a small one here, but I didn't think too much of that the way that price came down. So I wanted to use a stop loss right above here and get in after this price broke down low. I get in somewhere on the retrace on that. Barely got in here, but was easily getting my 2.5. Could have gotten much more on that trade. Okay. So now, because of the aggressive down move, I'm waiting for a little bit of retrace so I can get in again. All right, price breaks down, gives me a close below. While it does close right back into the trend, because the strength of the downtrend, I feel comfortable taking this because I do see this middle waddle here where price doesn't come back up to fill any of these gaps because it's moving so strongly in one direction. So I felt comfortable taking this trade and was quickly out and take profit. Okay, another one, tried it again. This time waited until we got a little bit more significant break down through here. Got significantly past this low here. So I felt comfortable getting in. Barely got in here, but I did get on the retrace. Again, take profit. So building confidence, you can see the same concept here. Up, breaks down, figure out where to get in, gets in here, goes down to take profit. Tuesday, wrapping it up. All right, again, tried it a third time or fourth time, whatever it was. Breaks down, gives me back up in here. Could have used a better entry, but I'm thinking, hey, this downtrend is keeping on going. And it did only break down here a little bit, so I should have been weary of that. But again, confidence rising after you hit 2 or 3 of those in a row. But this time I was at least smart about it. Broke down, saw it couldn't do it. Broke down, saw it couldn't do it. Broke down again, saw it couldn't do it. So I was like, okay, if I get an opportunity to get out, which it gave me 1, 2, 3 times to get out. But if you gave me a 4th time, I would get out. And eventually I learned my lesson here. So looks like I did trade on the Wednesday a little bit, but I won't count that stuff. What was this, Thursday? So I went a little bit far. So I'll cut off. This will be my last trade. So let's review my P&L for this week. Okay, so going back and tallying up all that, I actually would have been up an unrealistic 30.5%. So 5 hours of trading in a week. But obviously, you know, some of those trades, when you're actually in them, the emotional toll will be a little bit different. You might make different decisions. Other trades obviously can't happen because I'm sleeping. So keeping in mind that a lot of these trades may be dropped out, and sometimes there is that real-time effect that will affect some of these trades. The more that I see these kinds of extreme results when I just stick to the basics, lets me know that I'm using a good strategy. I just need to take my emotions out of it. So moving on to the next steps. So in the next backtesting video, I hope to have 2 things for you. One is some trades on some other coins. I know I've been saying that. I did backtest a little bit on ETH and ADA. I did not enjoy it. I wasn't winning as much. I don't know if I need to learn the flow or if it was just a bad time to be backtesting or what was going on. I have not tried XRP yet. I think that's the next one I'm going to try. And I will give it a little bit more time. To be fair, I only gave those other 2 a week of trying it out, and I know that's probably not enough, but I just feel so comfortable with Sol. It provides me with trades pretty much every day, so I don't really need to branch out and do too much else. I also do Bitcoin as well. Maybe I'll backtest a little bit more on Bitcoin so that I'm maybe a little bit more familiar with that. But that's one of the next steps. Another thing I want to do is I would like to get a new backtesting log. And so I've tried something out here, but it feels like I'm not really learning much from it. Like, I don't think I'm getting much out of it rather than just doing a week at a time like I've been doing and reviewing the trades one by one. I know this was a very quick run through of some of those trades, but I do spend hours looking through those trades and making sure that I have learned from the wins and the losses. So I'm not sure if not having a log for that is stunting my growth, maybe, but I feel like the way that I'm doing it, I'm learning a lot. I am taking notes, I'm writing them down. Have not organized them into an official strategy just yet, but that is what I'm working towards as well. So that's going to wrap up this one. And the next video, we'll talk about the emotional takeaway of trading for a full month, taking 27 trades, and not earning a thing. Some of the ups, some of the downs, some of the goals that I still want to reach, and how to become more consistent, and not only the strategy, but the mindset as well. So stay tuned. That'll be coming out next Monday. And then the week after that, I'll be returning to my 3 video per week schedule. So please keep in mind, this is not financial advice. It is for educational purposes only. Before you begin investing and or trading your hard-earned money, consider consulting a financial advisor. And just remember, this is the journey, not the highlight reel. Trade smart, live free.